First responders, thank you for all that you do. I'm Garrett Martin of the Alberta First Responder Mortgage Program, a program I put together myself. After spending 8.5 years in law enforcement, I got my mortgage broker's license, and now I'm a proud sponsor of the Alberta First Responder Association and doing mortgages for first responders. No matter where you are in Canada, reach out. We're talking exclusive rate discounts, cashback offers, and guidance from someone who's been in your boots. I know the demands of the job, and I know how to make homeownership easier. Whether you're buying, renewing, or refinancing, I'll compare top lenders from across Canada to save you money. So visit garrettmartinmortgages.com or text me at 403-915-1025 and let's get to work for you. Thank you for your service.
Sirens, Slammers, and Service, a podcast for female first responders by female first responders. My name is Nikki Cluche, and I will be your host. As a former correctional officer in Alberta for almost 2 decades and the founder of Blue Line Fitness Testing, which provides law enforcement fitness testing and first responder wellness workshops, I started this podcast as a way for female first responders to share the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of their daily work. I want to showcase the unique perspectives, skill sets, and personalities that women bring to a first responder career and share their stories. So get ready to laugh your ass off, learn a whole bunch, and be inspired by some pretty badass women. Let's go.
Welcome back, guys. Oh my gosh. Today I am joined by an absolute firecracker, and you're going to get that joke in a little bit. I'm joined today by Shauna Liora. Shauna was with Search and Rescue here in Alberta for 13 years, including 3 years with the Canada Task Force, which was heavy urban search and rescue. She had to do the pair to get onto this team, which I did not know. So we're going to delve into that. And she's also been working as an Alberta Parks Information Officer in Cochrane and with Cochrane Dispatch for their peace officers and their fire department, which is super exciting. And Shauna, this is crazy. So I was on a trip with my daughter in June and I went to the Canadian Mint. Let me tell you guys, it's pretty cool. But while I was there, I saw this insanely gorgeous artwork on the shelf, like gorgeous, made with fire. And I thought, that is so fucking cool. And then I read the card, and guess who made the beautiful fire art, guys? Shauna Liora made the fire art. And so being the creepy stalker that I am, I took her information, totally cold called, reached out and said, would you like to be on my podcast? And she thankfully said yes. So welcome, Shauna. I am so excited for this episode. How are you today?
I am so good. I am so excited to be here too.
Like I said, I saw your artwork like from across the room. So it's in the, guys, if you go to Ottawa, go to the Canadian Mint, A, super cool. B, you can see this art. It like jumps out from the wall of like artisan work, but yours is just incredible. The colors, the detail, it's just insane. And then to know that it was made with fire, like I was just like, that alone made me want to reach out to you and be like, what the fuck? Like, how do you do this? This is incredible. But then to read your story and realize you were search and rescue, that you have been within this first responder role for 13 years. And that this is something that you've now left first responder and you're doing this and have made like gorgeous things, guys. I'm gonna throw everything in the show notes, but you need to go FireArt made by Shauna Liora. You need to check out her website. You need to check out these prints. They're incredible, beautiful works of art. So I want to know how the fuck did that come about? How did we get into search and rescue? What was that journey? And then how did we end up making this gorgeous artwork and now on this total opposite journey?
Yeah, it's, as for all of us, it's been a journey. And basically for me, I follow my joy. That's one of my life mottos and what lights me up. And so years ago, I have always loved outdoor adventure, and I became this guide, an Association of Canadian Mountain Guides guide for the last 20 years. And I just love getting in the mountains and doing these multi-day expeditions and taking people on adventures. And the part of that is I saw these groups out there, the search and rescue, and they were helping find lost people. And I was like, ooh, this sounds fascinating. And so I loved the fact that this is a way that I could give back and that I could use my existing skills in an area where I could literally help save people's lives. I mean, how amazing would that be? So I joined Search and Rescue And they have quite the process and intake for people, and you've got to take your basics. And there's definitely an exercise component in that, a fitness requirement, where especially the one that I joined, which is Foothills Search and Rescue, because you're working in the mountains and the foothills, you need to be able to, like, there's an expectation that you can carry a 25 to 35 pound pack for more than 8 hours in mountainous terrain, take care of yourself, because you're actually looking for missing people at the same time. You have to take care of yourself, your team, and look for this lost person. So I did that and I loved it. It was, there's challenges and I loved it all at the same time. But 10 years of working with Search and Rescue with this amazing group of people that have one goal, which is to help people on what might be their worst day. And so the stories that I have from that were crazy, helping save people's lives. I love that. And then I also, a time of like being a team leader and then moving up as a search manager and kind of working in a number of different capacities, I also heard about Canada Task Force 2. And that's basically 2, it stands for Alberta. And this is a government tasking agency that was started after 2011. And essentially, it's for heavy search and rescue. It's a huge incident management team support, and it's for communities and cities that may need it when big disasters strike. So it's for all hazards, and it has so many diverse capabilities with it. And this is another level of, I guess, search and rescue, because search and rescue in Alberta is all professional volunteerism. And then Canada Task Force is paid for deployments. And that is its own level of getting into that team. It involves the pair test, like we mentioned, and another fitness test, a 3-day boot camp, and a star format interview just to get on that team. So it has its own fun challenges, but I was part of that team for 3 years, an amazing group of people. And so, yeah, I was doing that. And the honest truth is, after a while, I love to follow my joy. Like I mentioned, I wanted more adventure, and it seemed like the challenge, like there's a lot I had gotten out of it, and it was time to move on. And one of the events that happened in my life was life-changing. I was up in Inuvik, which is north of the Arctic Circle, and my brother lived up there at the time. And so I thought, cool, I'm going to go visit him. And we did this backpacking trip on the Tilcoot Trail, and then we flew up to Inuvik to visit him. And at that time, there was this First Nations art event happening in the town. And so we just walked over to it. Cool, something's going on. And when I walked in, there's all this different artwork on the wall. And there was some art that just really spoke to my soul. It just, wow, I love this. And so I ended up meeting the artist. And she worked with ink on tile, ceramic tile. And when I was talking with her, this is so cool. And she just mentioned when I'm talking to her, you could light it on fire. And I was like, what? What? And none of her art that she had on the walls, she worked with fire at all. But she just told me you could. And that literally is what sparked it all. My heart just went like crazy. And I went home and I spent a few $100s on art supplies. And for the next 3 years, I played with fire. I was a bit of a pyro, and I had so much fun. There was no YouTube videos out there. It was just like, I was so passionate. It just kind of consumed me. And I learned all these techniques that I figured out. And basically, this ink that I work with is flammable. And of course, you couldn't light something on fire on a canvas because that would burn. So I work on ceramic tile. And these techniques allow the ink to move, and it ends up looking like the Northern Lights. It's just so freaking cool and beautiful. And so the fire, I work with it for hours. It ends up creating these beautiful Northern Lights-like backgrounds. And then I decide what I'm going to paint on top. And so it could be our local mountains here or adventure scenes, because I love adventure, I love hiking, backpacking, all that stuff. And when I was working at the Cochrane Fire Station, I was talking with the safety officer there, and somehow my art came up. And he's like, Shauna, why don't you create some firefighter art? Like it's made with freaking fire. And so I was just like, duh, hello. And so I went home, and yeah, that's basically I started creating the firefighter series, and then also wanting to create more like first responder series and stuff, because I just realized what a way to take my experiences and turn them into something meaningful for others. And so it's a way that I can be creative, but also speak and honor the service of these dedicated professionals that use their lives to protect people and property. And it lit me up. So that was a bit of my journey that got me here. And so now I've been a full-time artist for 6 years. And it's like, yeah, the Canadian Mint carries my art in their store. And the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs have bought my art for the last 5 years in a row to give to the Fire Chief of the Year as an award. It's like, just blows me away. Even the U.S. Fire Chief received one of my pieces as an award. So it looks like fire for my firefighter collection, and it's made with fire. And then I do prints of the originals, and that way you can get them in any size. And so for people who want something for their office or something small or large, it's like I have all the prints, because there's only one original and I can't remake those. Yeah. So yeah.
It's like I said, it's so cool. And you said something before we started recording. You said you take people's experiences and you make them into creations that carry meaning for others. And to me, I thought, oh my God, like, and if that doesn't speak to what like art is, like, you know, like something that carries meaning, and it will have a different meaning for me than it has for you and then it has for this person, but that you're taking those experiences and you're putting it into something beautiful, like beauty. Guys, I'm telling you, I cannot rave about this art enough, because it's stunning. Like when she says it looks like the Northern Lights, guys, like it's fucking gorgeous. It's like somebody took a beautiful photo with the best camera in the fucking world and then put it on like this tile. Like it's on, and then when I think that it's made with fire and so we have to talk about this too, controlling the fire, which you can't really, but so you just let it kind of do what it wants to do, which in and of itself is beautiful, but then also kind of still trying to make it like kind of do what you want it to do so that it kind of looks like it's supposed to look like, right? So it's just incredible to me that, and again, that you kind of found this. And now, yes, as a full-time artist, this is so cool that fire chiefs across, you know, Canada and the US are getting your pieces as an award. Like how freaking rad. I bet you never thought that was going to be the thing 10 years ago.
Not even. And isn't that the beauty of life? Like I have never taken art class in my life. I've always been creative, but it's just something in my heart. Like you can have those life-changing moments that change everything. You have that conversation with someone or you see something and just your life has that trajectory switch. We've all had them. Mm-hmm. And I could never have predicted that. And now what a way that I can give back from my creativity, but now it's more of like my heart is letting people, celebrating and honoring those who serve in those capacities. And I definitely want to build it out more. It's limited. I would love to do peace officers and emergency communication officers, mm-hmm. because they're the first responders of the first responders. Mm-hmm. And so I definitely have plans to go down that road, but it's what a way for me to celebrate that, because you know what first responders do. I mean, there's such a diverse application. You talk to all these different people. It's beautiful. And it's just, we serve from our hearts, and to be able to celebrate that and to speak to our identities is such an honor now. So, and the best part for me is letting fire, which is an element, speak. And so I get to work with that. And like you said, it's wild. So I have a semblance of control, but I think that's the point. Because art is something that you create, like it comes out of you, and it's a messy process. And so when you're able to I have to let go of control mm-hmm. when I'm creating with fire. I have to literally center myself and have no semblance of trying to have much of a plan. But then it creates basically a background that speaks to me. And what's cool is most artists go in with a plan, and you have like a background you might start with, and then you paint on top. But this, I get to turn that piece 4 different ways and see what I see in there and allow myself to interpret and put beauty into the beauty already existing. So it's this 2-step process since I paint on top after, right? So yeah, so much fun.
Well, and I love how you say that like art is a messy process. It totally is. And do you find that, because the other thing you said, is that like you can't control it. And as first responders, we want to control everything, everyone, everything, every situation that we're involved in. We want to be in control. We want to be the person that's the directing, like telling what people what to do. We don't like to not be in control. That is scary to us. That is uncomfortable, right? And so to have to essentially relinquish control and say, we'll just walk and see what happens, and then not be judgmental when it doesn't turn out perfectly, because that's the other thing that we're really bad at. We are judgmental fucks as first responders, right? And we are so hard on ourselves, and we're so hard on everybody else. So leaning into that too, right? Leaning into this is a messy process. What comes out, comes out. What the fire does, the fire does. I can't control it. I've got to let it do what it wants to do. I can maybe change the direction. Like you said, I can spin the tile, or I can, I can change this, or I can change that, but I can't change what's going to happen. It is what is going to happen is going to happen, and just letting it go. And then from that, pulling the beauty out of it and realizing that we don't need to always control things. We don't need to always, be the person that's making things happen. We can just let that shit happen and see what happens at the end of it. So I think that is awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, well, because again, I just, as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, we are control freaks. Yes, indeed.
Well,
can
I add to that for a second?
Yes.
I just want to share, I just want to spin off on that. I really believe what we've endured and what we've experienced in our life, all the challenges and stuff, it doesn't define us, but what we create from it does. And that's the beauty of transformation. And so when I create this art, that's what I'm putting into it and allowing to happen. Because that first part of the process, I can't control. And just like with first responding, we're going into these situations and we don't know what we're going to find. There's so often it's just completely out of our control. But what we create from it and how we respond to it later does, right? I just love all of that stuff.
Yes.
Totally fires me up.
Yes. 100%. So do you find because for me, I'm like a creative person in certain ways. I like to make cards. That's what I do, because I can't draw for shit and I can't paint for shit at all. But I'll make cards because then I just use a stamp, boop, and then I just have to color the stamp. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Nice.
Doing that. But do you find that your art allows you to kind of just not zone out, but just kind of let go of the other shit that's going around, the noise in your head when you're being creative? You're able to just kind of sit with what you're doing and be focused solely on that versus, having that going on in your head all the time, or coming home from again, a stressful shift or a shitty call, or, maybe a rescue that didn't go the way it was supposed to go. And that your art allows you to kind of just take a step back and focus on something that's not that.
Exactly. Absolutely. 100%. I find that's one of the biggest gifts is when I'm fired up to create some art and I go into that fire process. Like I mentioned, I have to let go of control, but once I get in this zone, it's like that, the athletic zone.
Yeah.
But it's like this creation zone, and I get completely lost in it and I melt into it. But to make the decision to switch into that zone can be really challenging because I'm totally busy in my mind and I'm it's just so much going on. So what I know for myself, I believe that all of us are creative at heart. We might not draw amazingly or whatever. We all are artists in our own way. And so for some people that might be gardening. For other people, it might be woodworking, but we all are artists. And so the sad part that I hear from a lot of people when they see my art and we're having conversations and stuff, they say, oh, I've been meaning to take this art lesson, or I took this art lesson and I bought the supplies, but I just haven't done it. I'll do it when I retire. Or they said, I'll do it when this and that. And I just, my heart screams, do it, because it is life for our soul and we need it to recharge our batteries. So just make it a priority, even though there's so much going on in life. We need it to actually ground ourselves. So yeah, for me with the fire, when I'm creating, I can get in this zone where sometimes like 12 hours will go by and it's like, I'm not eating, I'm not thinking, I just keep getting more and more ideas that are coming to me. Oh, I want to try this. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try this. And it's just this like crazy, I get lost. And so we all have that in us. It just looks different, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I so agree with you.
Yeah, I'm learning how to play drums. That's my next creative outlet. And I wanted to learn how to do it for forever. Like since I was a kid, I wanted to learn how to play the drums. And I think I put it off. Oh, I'm too busy. Oh, I'm too old now. Like I'm an adult. Like who starts playing drums when they're an adult? And then I finally just bit the bullet during COVID. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do this. And so it has been a slow fucking process. Let me tell you, I am not good, but I do love it because you have to be totally focused. Like for me, because like drumming, like you're keeping the beat, right? So if you start to drift off and your mind is drifting off and now all of a sudden you're not on the beat and you're fucking doing your own thing, it's like, oh shit, like the whole band relies on you to be on time, on beat, right? Meanwhile, I'm like, la da da, like zoning out, right? So it forces me to be fully present, to be fully paying attention, to let my mind wander. I have to be like on. I can't just half-ass this, right? Which is what a lot of us do when we get to our hobbies because we're tired and we're overwhelmed and we're doing it because we should do it in quotation marks because we have to do it because it's good for us, right? So we do it half-assed because we're exhausted and we don't really want to do it, right? And so the thing I love about is like, you can't half-ass it because it sounds like shit, A, and B, the band relies on you. And so then they sound like shit if you sound like shit. So you have to get your shit together. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Do you find, because I sometimes get this too when I'm making cards, do you ever have those days where you feel like you're creative and then you start and everything you make is a bag of garbage and you're like, fuck this is fucking bullshit. This fucking thing isn't working. You fucking throw it out. That one sucks. And then eventually you're just like, you know what? Today's not my day. And you walk away.
Yep, 100%. I even had that last week and I was working on a commission piece and I could not, like, I spent a whole morning and it was just like failure after failure after failure. And I finally said, screw it, like eat some lunch and maybe you won't go back to this today because it's totally not working, and just giving myself that grace. Yeah, and sometimes though, those are the moments that are magical. They end up being magical because I've had it where a couple of weeks ago I was working on this piece and I was all excited. I had a plan of what I was painting in there. And then I painted in this mountain and I hated it. I hated it. And so I had to start from scratch. I literally rubbed off the mountain and I didn't have a plan. I did not have a plan. And when I stepped back into it with better energy, I literally figured out a new technique. And I loved it. Not only did I figure out a new way of doing things that I love, it looks even better than my original plan. And I just, isn't that life? Like sometimes we think we move forward and are like, this is the plan. I need to move from A to B and this will be perfect. And then all these things happen and you get thrown off. And usually those detours lead you to even more beautiful places than you can ever imagine. If I can trust that, right? And so oftentimes I totally have like little tantrums with myself because it is not working like I wanted to work, right?
I know, exactly. I've like literally thrown the paper across the room, like, fuck this is not fucking bullshit. And my kids are outside, are you having fun making cards, Mom? I'm like,
yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm not having fun fucking making these cards right now. Are you relaxing, Mom? Yeah, I'm super fucking relaxed over here.
Loving this every moment.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, I want to take us back to search and rescue because I know our listeners are super interested in this because we've never had somebody from search and rescue on the podcast. So you said they are professional volunteers, which I love because that means essentially you're volunteering, not a paid position. but requiring certain certifications, professional, abilities in order to be on this team. So what are some of, I know you kind of said like you'd had your experience as being a guide and stuff like that. Were there specific courses or training that you had to take in order to like get on the team and then to remain like current on the team, like to continue recertifying?
Yeah, it's basically a standard search and rescue basics to even become an operating member. But to even apply, there's groups all across, for example, we'll go with Alberta, but this would be Canada-wide. And so they're just in the area around Calgary, there's Foothill Search and Rescue, Calgary Search and Rescue, Cochrane Search and Rescue. So each group will have some specifics that might vary a little, but the standardized kind of overview is that you should have your standard first aid, but then they would hope that you have your wilderness first aid.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like a lot of this first responder world is a cert world, so is search and rescue. So if you've got certifications going in, fantastic, but fitness is a huge one going in. And then once you've kind of gone through a bit of an interview process, you've got to take that search and rescue basics, which is a course, and also typically a weekend where you're outdoors in the wilderness. And so you become an operational member, but then you also need to keep training up. And so one of the benefits of search and rescue is that you work closely with your team. And so throughout a month, you've got your monthly meeting, you've also got trainings. And so there's typically about 75 to 100 plus hours that you're expected to be involved in over a year. A lot of people do more than that. And so even though it's volunteer, I believe there's like tax advantages now since I've been part of it, which is really great. But it's this ground search and rescue it's for wilderness emergencies. So you'd have to love the outdoors. And so it was great for me because I had all this knowledge. I worked for Alberta Parks. And so I knew all the trails and the areas, and I had all that base knowledge. But there's so much to it because once you're part of it, then there's all these, you can take training to become a team leader. Then you can also take training to become a search manager. And so anytime you're deployed on a search, if there's a missing person, Bob goes missing in the mountains, you have to be tasked from a local government agency, typically RCMP. They will call search and rescue. So if Bob goes missing, Bob's family is not going to call search and rescue. Bob's family is going to call police, and then they're going to task search and rescue. And so, for example, one search that I was on years ago, it was quite a large scale search. There was a lady who decided in March to do some Tai Chi on the side of the mountain. And so she never showed up with her family that night, and her car was left in the parking lot. So we got tasked to search for her. And so there was Foothill Search and Rescue, Calgary Search and Rescue, Cochrane Search and Rescue. There was helicopters, there was dog teams. It was quite large. And so the crazy part was that night, it had snowed like over a foot of snow in Kananaskis country. It was actually very close to the Nakiska ski hill. So anyway, we got called the next day. So she had been out overnight. And you're like, oh man, there's no trail to follow. Her car's there, but there's nothing to follow. And so we were searching for her all day and nothing. And there were so many teams out, and it was, quite, you're calling her name, but you don't know if you're going to actually find her. And just before dark, there was a team that found her. And she had fallen off the mountain. She had broken her femur.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And she had a crazy carpet with her, which was crazy. She splinted her leg with it, which is good.
Yep.
And she'd been dragging herself on her butt through the trees so she could see the helicopters going around, but she couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And she dragging herself on her butt. When that team found her, like she was in the second stages of hypothermia, and her pants and everything were like totally off because she'd been dragging. And she would not have survived that night.
No.
And it was incredibly satisfying to know that if all of us hadn't shown up And we're tasked with all these teams to go to different areas searching for her. That one team found her, and that was one of the last teams to be deployed that day because it was not considered as high as a factor that she would be there, and she was there. And so it's, stories like that, which I've got so many, are just incredibly satisfying to know, like, wow, we saved a life today.
Totally.
Right. So in terms of agencies and how things work with search and rescue, you're part of a local group and you get this benefit of really working together. And say first responders, like peace officers and all that, you're often working by yourself or just with one other person. And it's so different because you're with teams, you're working with people. So there's a lot of camaraderie and beautiful. Yeah, there's politics and beauty.
Yeah.
that go with everything, right?
Yeah.
But it's one really nice benefit with search and rescue for sure.
Yeah. And do you guys so in something like that, would they task like the Fish and Wildlife for the conservation officers in that area to also help with you guys, or?
Fish and Wildlife, no. Conservation officers, yes, because for example, within Kananaskis country, there is like an emergency response team, and COs for sure will get tasked. They are not trained in the search and rescue elements as much, so they have different roles, but we definitely have worked very closely with them throughout it for sure. And there's even some COs that are part of search and rescue.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it sounds very similar to like paid on call firefighters, like where you're doing, you got your monthly meeting and you got your weekend training here and there. So yeah, I think, for any listeners that are out there that maybe didn't even factor this in, if you're loving the outdoors and you're loving, hiking and like the other thing too with Alberta, like our geographical, like kind of lay is so different, right? Kananaskis, you've got the Rockies and the mountains. You go, south Lethbridge, you're into hoodoos and desert-ish, and you go north and now you're into the boreal forest. And, so really, depending on where you live, you could be doing totally different versions of search and rescue and things. So I think, if there's anybody out there that is interested in that, I would definitely be, take a little Google and see if there's, they're looking for your team, if they're looking for new team members and things like that, because what great experience. Again, if you're even trying to get into, say, conservation or fish and wildlife, what great experience to have that under your belt and be able to, be helping the community in that way. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely a number of people that were doing search and rescue because they loved it and it had value to give, but they also were using it for becoming an RCMP or all sorts, like peace officer, all that kind of stuff, because you're getting that ICS experience, you're getting all of that within boots on the ground sort of way, but it's a fun way to do it. And it's also, such a great way to help people.
So if you get tasked with a call, so say like, again, let's say Bob goes missing in the mountains. When you get tasked, is there like certain things, like do they break? So A, how big is the team? That's a question. But is there then certain tasks like they say like, okay, you two are going to do this and you two are going to do this and you two are going to, like, is that kind of how it's broken down?
Yeah, exactly. So search managers decide. So let's say it's a local search and there might be 40 people that will show up, that they're actually team members and they're able to search. And so the search management will take a look at the maps and they use search management behavior. There's like a million courses on all of this. And so they're going to take a look at the profile of that missing person. So let's say it's a little girl and like what typically happens with it. There's just so much behavioral analysis that goes with this. It's amazing how people searched in the 80s, which is probably what a lot of people think with search and rescue. It was like this long lineup moving through the forest, is not how you search anymore. There's different types of searches. And there's example, I'll give you a couple, is a hasty type team. And that might be 3 to 5 people that are put together and there'll be a team leader. And that hasty team will be said, we want you to walk this trail. And so it's quick, it's efficient. And so they're calling. There's type 1, there's type 2, there's type 3. There's different types where you're even looking, it's an evidence search. So you're looking for maybe like a bullet, say in Calgary, if there was a murder that occurred or something, and you're looking for evidence. So the search management decides, and they create the teams, and then you have a team briefing, and you're assigned what you're going to do, and you're given a map, and you go do it. And you then give statistically, we've covered 60% of this, and like it's quite a science, and it's very like search management is then taking notes. Like I kind of considered it when I was doing search management. It's like a giant risk game. Like you're moving things around the board, but this is with people's lives, so it's very serious. And you're trying to make the most like logical conclusions. Like, where would someone who's a despondent, who wants to end their life, where would they go? And there's a lot of science to what happens when someone wants to end their life. If they're going to go outside, what they're going to do. And so you're deciding quickly what you can do and how you can get teams out there as quickly as possible.
And so then I'm assuming obviously like two-way radio communication, but like when you're up in the mountains where there may not be signal, is it like sat nav phones, or like what do you, like you're using the satellite system? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And radio communication for sure, because you can have boosters and all sorts of things that can work as well. Radios is mainly used, but of course, sat nav. It's all whatever you need. You work with, right? So yeah.
And do you find that like, are you well equipped? Like, do you find that the teams are given like the tools and the equipment that they need to perform the searches and the rescues? Or is it sometimes that you're like, yeah, it'd be great if we could have this, or it'd be great if we could have that?
Yeah. So you'll see it right on search and rescue websites when you apply, is you do like there's basic equipment that's supplied, but one thing that you need to provide is your own 24-hour pack. And so that's whatever you need to survive, right? And 24 hours meaning you got to be able to take care of yourself for 24 hours in any weather and be able to survive. And that might be uncomfortable survival. Like, I'm not going to go with a big tent in my pack and a sleeping bag and all the good stuff that I would go on a nice camping trip. I'm going to just need what I survive, like a survival blanket, right? And so, all of that stuff we needed to provide ourselves. And so that's part of it. And it's even stated right when you apply, and you need your own outdoor gear, all that. So it was getting better by the time I left, but I think that's just an issue across the board in all of these first responders situations, eh?
Yeah. Everybody wants better equipment. Please give me something better. Give me the nicer thing. Give me the helicopter all of the time.
Yeah. I will say with Canada Task Force, it's very different. There's millions and millions of dollars worth of equipment, because it's for heavy urban search and rescue. It's for incident management. So there's like in Calgary alone, there's all this equipment ready to be put on a Herc plane and flown anywhere as quickly as possible. Essentially, it's enough for 14 days to be able to sustain the crew. Just my kit alone, they supplied everything. I mean, and it's paramilitary, so I was like, wow, okay. My kit alone was over $5,000 worth. Wow. So there's a lot more support given in that world than search and rescue.
Yeah. Search and rescue gets way more freaking calls, I guarantee, right? Yeah, true. Yeah, totally. Okay, that's a great segue though, because I want to dive into this like heavy urban search and rescue. So you kind of touched on it. If there is a mass disaster within a city, like a bomb, something like that, that is what this Canadian Task Force is going in for. So what, like you said, you had to do the pair and you had to do some fitness testing. You had to do the boot camp, which was like you said, pass or fail, I think. And also, guys, so as an aside, because Shauna and I were talking about this before we started recording. So she had 2 weeks, guys, to prepare for the pair. I want you to tell our listeners what you did, because I think our listeners could learn a fuck of a lot from you and your ability to prepare. So tell us what you did to prepare for the pair in 2 weeks.
Well, I wish I had known about Blue Line fitness testing.
Bless your heart.
But I really didn't know that what I was getting into, because I didn't know like the first responder, like as a peace officer or any of that. So I read it carefully and I thought, oh my goodness, I need to mentally get in the game and physically. And I think my fitness helped me because I had been a guide in the mountains and stuff. I had that going for me, but I set up my backyard to be like all the stations, right? Like the carry, the ladder carry, the Kaiser, like all that stuff that you needed to do. And I think I just loaded weights in a garbage bin, and like I just made it in my backyard, and I practiced over and over again. And I think it was the mental that what helped me the most, because I didn't have the time to really get my body in it. And I somehow passed it. I was so excited. Oh my goodness. Because it was, when you're in it, you're like, this is intense. Oh my goodness. Right. So I prepared myself mentally and physically and put my body through the actions, which was so key. Otherwise, it would have been completely overwhelming just to know what to do next. So, yeah.
I really, like I said, I love the part about setting it up in your backyard, because I think, again, that's brilliant. Like, and for our listeners out there, you can do that. Like, if you're not close to us here in Edmonton, you can set this up in your backyard. I can tell you how to do it and how to get through it. But it's mental game too. The mental game is huge. If you cannot mentally get your head around being uncomfortable, putting your body to the limit, and it's sucking, it's going to suck. You have to embrace the suck in order to get through it and to pass. Like, if your mental game ain't there, you just give up, because you're not going to pass. You have to be mentally prepared to run that test. So love that. Absolutely love that. And so when you got on the team, you said, there was lots of different courses you had to take and things like that. Was it a full-time position, or are you just like kind of doing that when there's like a mass issue, you get called out and you get paid for your time there?
Yeah, so it's not full time, and there's quite a large team. I believe at the time when I was on the team, there was about 80 members. There was only 3 females at the time. And now I know it's changed completely. So that's great.
That is great.
But yeah, it's definitely the process was interesting, but getting on it with the actual full-time, it's more when you're called out. So there's lots of training that you're going to, there's courses. And so, for instance, I was on the team that responded to the Fort McMurray wildfire in 2016. So we were there for a number of weeks, and we provided like logistical support, EOC support. It was crazy. Like, even just my role, I mean, you're wearing a mask because it's on the scale of, the 1 to 10 scale of healthy air, it was 60. It was 60. Like, I couldn't smell just a normal little campfire for about 2 years before, and I would just get like an instant headache. It was crazy. So you're sleeping in that and you're working in that. And so, we responded. And the truth was, like, those situations, it was amazing because you're just going in and for a little while, but yet you're working with the people, like the people of the town of Fort McMurray, that are the real heroes, because they are having to. This one guy lost his home, lost his dog in the fire, and he was working 12-hour shifts like this. I'll never forget him, Michael, amazing guy. And he then had to keep picking up the pieces for years afterwards, whereas we just pulled out, right? But yeah, it's not a full time. And essentially, when you come on the team, you got to sign a document, and you got to get your employer to sign a document that they would have permission for you to leave, because suddenly you're just like up and gone. Mm-hmm. And so that can be a challenge for some people, but that's part of it. You don't have to show up at the deployments, but it's obviously, if you're part of it, you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what we go. That's why we sign up, because we want to go to the things. We don't want to just do the training. We want to go to the thing. And
I mean, we showed up. There was a Calgary snow event. They called it Snowtember. It was in September, and it was this crazy snow. It took down all these power lines and trees for like so many communities. And so we were out with that. So that's kind of a small scale one versus the larger scale ones. So it's kind of, it ranges, but an amazing team of people, so professional, but yet just warm and with such a great heart. I have very good memories with being part of that team. It was amazing. So if anyone's interested, definitely look into it. Just so you know, there's Canada Task Force 1, which is out of BC, Task Force 2, which is Alberta, and it's Calgary based. And then there's 3, which is Toronto, but Ontario based, and 4 is Manitoba, out of Winnipeg. And so the East Coast doesn't have any task force. But yeah, for any big disasters that happen, this is what we've got these great assets for, and they're called, task force is called quite a bit for their incident management team. For example, Yukon had some flooding. And so there might be a small team that will be deployed and just helping that town manage. And because they might not know what to do, so there's that specialized training that they'll be able to come in and help with. So it might not be a big herc showing up with, specialized heavy urban search and rescue equipment. It could just be a small team of highly specialized people. So yeah.
And so if there was something, heaven forbid, like a 9/11, something happens, say like in Toronto, and it's something big like that, would it then be like all task force from across Canada would go to that and would respond to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
the big ones for sure.
That's good to know. That's good to know that those people, that we have that. Because like, again, I didn't fucking know. I had no idea that we had these things. I thought it was the military that always responded to this stuff, which I'm sure they're also part of it, right? You're working with them too. But that is really cool that there's like this whole side of things. Like I said, every time I do this podcast, I learn something new about our country, about our province, about the first responders that work in it. It's incredible. So freaking love it. Okay. Well, I love this conversation, but I know that I'm taking up your afternoon. So I want to start to wrap up, but I like to wrap up with rapid fire questions. These are super fun ones. And so they're just quick and easy. I promise, no stress. But I'm going to take you back to search and rescue. So what would be your favorite food or snack while you're on like a search and rescue, while you're doing something? What do you keep, and what's keeping you fueled?
Pre-made cheese tortillas I kept in the freezer, and then I would just pull them out, and I had already cooked them, and then they were just frozen. Eat them on the way. Heavy calories, heavy energy.
Damn, that's so fucking smart. Like, hello, I need to do that. That's a fucking great idea. How did I not? Like, that is a great idea. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's going to go on the list. I like that. That's perfect. And like you said, heavy calorie, you're going to be full. You got energy. I thought you were going to say trail mix, because like, that's what I eat when I'm on the trail. I'm like, I'm hiking. Is it jerky or is it trail mix? It's both. And then Baby Bells, as long as they'll last the first 2 days of my hike, I'm yarding those in my mouth. All of it. I love me the Baby Bells.
Nice. It's perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2 question would be, what would be your favorite piece of equipment that you got to use while you were on search and rescue or with Canada Task Force?
Okay. I just love maps. So I love reading maps, and I love visualizing and seeing what's on the map and then seeing it in front of my eyes. So yeah, maps. I'm kind of a geek.
No, that's incredible, because maps are going the way of the dinosaurs, because people don't use maps anymore. We were camping this summer. We were up in Grand Cache, and we met this couple that were traveling up from the United States. And so we had a map, like a paper map, in our truck. Just, I don't know why, but we did. And so we had them over to our campsite, and we were sitting, and we were pointing out, like, as they were going to Prince George, which we were like, don't fucking go there. It's a shithole. Don't go to Prince George. Don't go spend 3 days in Prince George. Like, there's way better places to go. So then we pulled out the map, and we're like showing them where they should go. Right. Oh, my kids walk over, and they're like, what is that? And I was like,
no.
I looked at them. I was like, what do you mean? What is that? And they're like, what is that? And they're pointing, and I'm like, I looked at my husband. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I was like, it's a map. And they're like, what? And I was just like, am I wearing pantaloons? Do I have like, what? Am I that old? Like,
yeah. Oh, that is so entertaining to my brain. How is that possible? I get it. Like, because I use the GPS on my phone. I've got all the maps preloaded, but there is something very comforting about a map. And obviously with my guides training and search and rescue, you can't rely on electronics. You can't. If the battery dies, you don't have what you need. So having your map is helpful, but I use both now. And so I get it. But oh my goodness, not even knowing what it is.
Yeah, believe me, that I was like, oh my God. And when I looked at my husband, I was like, apparently we need to get a globe as well and show them what that fucking is. Like, dear Lord. Okay. And then, so the next one I want to ask is, what is one of the wildest rescues you've ever had to do? And it could be anything. It could be that it was dangerous. It could be just crazy. It could be last minute, but one of the wildest rescues you've ever had to do.
I got one. So there's a hunter and he shot a moose. And so he got two of his buddies to come and to pull out the meat with him and the hide. So it's late fall, it gets super cold, and this ice fog rolls in. So when they get to the moose, they get what they need to, and they start walking out. And one of the guys somehow gets turned around and lost. It's minus 35. It's so freaking cold. So we get a call for this missing guy. The two guys show up and they're like, I don't know where our buddy is.
Oh my God.
We don't get what down at this. I'm sure there was more to that. But anyway, this guy, we get a call and it's already the next day. And this guy he was only wearing a hat, a light jacket, jeans, and little mitts, because it was just like hiking. It was like 3K.
Yeah.
Just go get it and get out, right?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we show up the next day. I'm wearing 52 layers. I'm thinking, like, how this guy can't be alive, but we're still calling out his name. And my team is tasked to go find the actual moose kill site. And so we we actually found the moose site, which was awesome in and of itself because it was snowing. So all the tracks were quickly being hidden.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're all excited about that, which meant we could now find where this guy went off. These little kind of marks in the snow. So we're searching, and by this time it's around noon, and it's so freaking cold. Like, I'm shaking practically myself. It's still so foggy. We're in the foothills, so you have no reference point other than trusting your compass or your GPS. You're just completely confused. We get a call over the radio, and this team found him. And he was in the second stage of hypothermia. He was just collapsed on a snowbank. And later, talking to him, I heard the story. This guy was carrying this moose hide, and it kind of kept him warm a little bit until it didn't. So he was using it, and he knew he had to keep moving. He couldn't stop. So at one point, he drops the moose hide. He keeps walking. He's just totally frozen, but just to survive. And at one point, he can't take one more step. He's done. His body is just too frozen. He falls into a snowbank, and that's when he heard his name being called by that team. It was like I remember back at the command post, his fiance was just like hugging me and crying, and like it was so epic because it just like the odds of that. And he was 6 kilometers away from where the moose kill site was. And he had been wandering aimlessly. He didn't know where to go and all that. So the fact that he was found in the moment he had given up on life, it was so satisfying. Like, we saved his life. And then on the way home, I'm just so, high on life. I'm driving my car. It's like an hour drive back, and my transmission goes. My vehicle. No. So, my car was toast. I've had a few stories like that where it's like these epic moments where you're like, oh yes, and then something crazy happens. It's life, right? But yeah, that was a wild story for sure. Like minus 35, and I'm not kidding. Like, that day, we stopped to eat a little snack. We were still searching for the moose kill site at that moment. I sat on a log, and there was a little hole in the log, and there was a dead frozen mouse in there. Like, even the mice were freezing. It was so cold. I was like, oh man, he lived. So yeah.
It is, like, because they always say, like, when you go, like, make sure you have, like, anytime you go into the woods, like, be prepared, because you never know what's going to happen. And everybody goes, oh, that'll never happen to me. That'll never happen to me.
Yeah.
I heard one, I can't remember who told me this story, but it was in Hawaii, and she had always gone to this. She always took the same trail. She would go to this clearing, and she would meditate, and then she would do yoga in this forest. And she only lived, like, I want to say, like, again, like 3K out of this. It was like she would go there regularly. And for whatever reason, she came out of meditation got turned around and got lost in this forest in Hawaii, even though she was super familiar with it. She like knew, but she got all turned around. And same thing, search and rescue found her, and she had just been going in a circle. So she had been walking and walking, but just going in a circle, but never ever getting out, like just basically circling around this clearing, not knowing that she was circling around this clearing. And I just thought to myself, like, that right there, right? It doesn't matter how familiar you are with it. Oh, I go there all the time. I know it inside and out. I can find my way out with my eyes closed. No, you fucking can't. Clearly, no, you fucking can't. Like, be prepared, people. When we go into the woods, be prepared, because you never know. And Mother Nature loves to fuck with us. Mother Nature loves to be like, oh, are you having fun? Well, here comes some ice fog. Oh, are you having fun? Well, here is a hurricane. Oh, are you having fun? Well, now there's thunder and lightning.
There's definitely surprises. I like the statistic, because this is one advantage to being a smoker for anyone who is a smoker, is that statistically, if you get lost and you're a smoker, you have a better chance of surviving because they have lighters with them. And, and so, I mean, the better moral of the story is bring a lighter with you if you're going to go in the mountains. But it's crazy how, like thinking those little things through. Like, I've had to spend a night almost on the top of a mountain in May because someone got sick and I was guiding, and we had to use emergency blankets and sleep with them. Like, you just don't know. Like, her whole family, this person who got sick was hospitalized with food poisoning at home, and she just happened to get it like on this trip, and then we couldn't move, and we couldn't call in a helicopter because of certain reasons at that moment. And it's just crazy. So, and also carrying one of those like inReach devices, those are amazing, because not only can you have that two-way communication with loved ones, but you can hit that 911 button anywhere. And so like the technology is incredible now that we have. For example, last summer, I did a month-long Arctic canoe expedition. There were 6 of us. We paddled all the way from just north of Yellowknife to the Arctic Ocean. And every day we used the inReach, and we would send a message out to family and friends, and it would send a link, which you could click on it. It would be like a Google Maps link, and they could see exactly how far we had gone that day. How cool is that?
Yes.
And then the most invaluable part for us was that we could get specialized local weather forecasts for exactly where we were. I mean, I don't know how all that works, but we knew that most likely, it was accurate about 90% of the time, that at 4 a.m., a big wind would roll in. So we better paddle up until 3 and then set up camp and da-da-da. So we have access to these amazing devices nowadays that are amazing, like they help. So
I am more amazed that you paddled for a month in the Arctic. That is more amazing to me than the inReach. What the fuck? Like, I have a very good friend. His name is Forrest, and like his name is his namesake. He 100%. He would be all over that. He would be like, sign me up. I'm going to do that. So yeah, I mean, there are crazy people out there. You guys are part of it. It's an esoteric world, and most people, like, why would you do that? We didn't see one soul for a whole month, like not one person. You're like, it's like you're on another planet, but it's magical, other than the gazillions of mosquitoes and black flies and bugs that you just permanently wear. You look like an astronaut, but you're wearing a bug net all the time. Your pants are tucked into your socks. It like you just you get used to it, right? But yeah, we do different things in our life to find pleasure, don't we? That's a type 2 fun for sure. God, I love that. Okay, well, again, this has been amazing. Like I've learned so much from you, and like I said, for our listeners, if you guys are looking for a phenomenal present to give to somebody that you love, if you are looking for something for your house that you want to just inspire you and just, like I said, pull joy out of your body, I want you guys to go. It's fireart.ca, Shauna's website. You'll see these prints. You'll see the work that she does. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. You can buy them off the website. She's got stickers, she's got ornaments, she's got magnets, she's got you name it. She's got it. I want you guys to go check this website out. Help a local first responder, artist, amazing human being, because you're doing incredible work. And just, I'm so happy. Again, we talk about circumstance, right? We talk about life goes in random ways. Who would have thought I would have ever, and then to also find out, when I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. She's from fucking Alberta. What? Wait a minute. I'm from Alberta. That's incredible. So the fact that you're 3 hours south of me is awesome. But I'm telling you guys, go check this stuff out, and I'll be throwing up all the links and all the info on it in the show notes. But do you have any last words for our listeners?
What I'd love to say is thanks to the work that you guys do, because you walk through your own fire. And so what you endure, it matters what you go through and the joy you give to the world. It's the whole gamut, right? But it also doesn't define you, all those hardships. And so what you create from it does, like I said before. So go create with your work, create with your passion, create with your art, music, and have fun. And because these jobs can be super intense. And so we need to find ways to just create with our life force energy. So have fun, follow your joy, follow your fire.
I can't even, there's nothing, I can't top any of that. That is incredible. And you know what, again, like you said, we are forged in fire when we work in these careers. You really are. You're thrown out there and you either sink or swim. And so you learn how to fight through the fire. You learn how to stick it out. You learn what you can do and what you can't do and how tough it's going to be. And so, I think that's an incredible message. Like I said, it's been an absolute treat to have you on the show. I'm so glad we connected, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I hope you get to go create something beautiful.
Yes, thank you. You too. All right.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in, listening, giving me your time, your energy, and your attention. I completely appreciate it. Make sure you check out our next episode with another badass female first responder anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at bluelinefitnesstesting.com. I hope you stay safe, keep your head on a swivel, and watch your six. Blue Line Fitness Testing is a premier law enforcement fitness testing and training center based in Edmonton. Specializing in helping individuals prepare for the physical demands of a career in law enforcement, we offer comprehensive fitness evaluations, specialized training programs, and classes tailored to meet the unique needs of our clients. Our facility hosts a range of classes and are committed to fostering a supportive and empowering environment where clients can achieve their fitness goals. Our team includes experienced trainers who bring specialized expertise in law enforcement, self-defense, personal training, and rehabilitation. We engage through our community through challenges, events, and our podcast, and we are dedicated to helping individuals succeed in their fitness journeys and career aspirations in law enforcement. Are you looking to get started with your career? Come see Blue Line Fitness Testing, and we'll get you there.